Yes, good morning, everyone. Glad to have you here. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar today and here to present real intelligence about artificial intelligence. We have Troy Harrison, the Sales Navigator, along with Chase Aucoin, the AI guy from EnterpriseConsulting.AI.
Well, thank you very much, Shani. And I'm really excited about this program, Real Intelligence about Artificial Intelligence. I titled it that for a reason. I probably, like a lot of you, have been watching a lot of AI webinars lately. It's a trend that's coming on. If you were on my webinar last month, the top four trends that will drive your profits into the future, you'll notice that AI was one of those trends. And I truly believe in that. It's a tool in the toolbox. It's a great tool. In all of these webinars that I've watched, I never felt like the people performing the webinars, I don't know if they didn't have a good grip on what this technology was all about or if they weren't explaining it well. But I sat down, I thought, I know this guy, Chase Aucoin, who is an actual AI expert. So I wanted to bring him on and make him part of this so that people could have a real understanding, because there's a lot of fears, there's a lot of confusion about what AI is. And hopefully by the end of this hour, that confusion is going to be taken away. You're going to have a much better understanding of what this tool is, what it's all about, and how you can use it. Now, some of you don't know me, so I'm going to take a quick minute and tell you about me. I'm Troy Harrison. I am the Sales Navigator. I help my clients navigate the elements of selling on their journey to the island of sales success. What that means in practical terms is that I coach business owners and sales managers on building sales teams. I do training of salespeople and sales managers. I speak at conventions. I help companies hire salespeople, and I also do in-house assessments of things like sales people and processes. I call that my sales audit. That's basically the long and short of what I do. I've been doing it for almost 19 years now. My anniversary is going to be September 1. I'm going to try and remember this year. Last year, I was so busy that I actually forgot about my own anniversary. Hopefully, this year I can remember. But point is, I've been doing this for a long time. And I got to tell you, I've never touched a topic that was as much of a hot potato as this one. It's incredible. Um, People react in a very visceral way to artificial intelligence. And I think a lot of that is because they don't understand what it is, what it can do, and what it won't do. And again, for that, I brought in my friend Chase Aucoin of EnterpriseConsulting.AI. Chase, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, hi, my name is Chase Aucoin. I am the founder of EnterpriseConsulting.AI. We're a boutique consulting firm helping businesses that want to incorporate AI throughout their processes. I've been in the enterprise software biz for nearly 20 years, working with Fortune 500 companies like Microsoft, AWS, Google, et cetera, as well as industries in finance, agriculture, logistics, defense, you name it. I've probably touched that industry in some way or another. Before I got into technology, my very first life and my first role was in sales. I was one of the highest grossing key sales reps in America. Before I got into all of this. And for the last 15 years, I've been heavily involved in machine learning. I've spoken internationally on the topic. And over the last year, as things have really started to change and ramp up on capabilities, I knew that businesses were going to need to have some expert guidance on how to navigate this new landscape. And so that's why I started EnterpriseConsulting.AI.
Great. Well, I'm glad you're on board here. And I'm glad you mentioned that you had a sales background because, most of the people on here are salespeople, and Chase is one of us. And that's one reason I thought it was really important to have him as part of it, as opposed to some of the other people out there that do have a lot of AI expertise. So, what is AI? That's a fun little meme I created. That lamp is magic, artificial intelligence isn't. There are a lot of people that are really scared of artificial intelligence. Matter of fact, when I started publicizing this webinar, I had two people who don't know each other that I've known for years that contacted me. And they said, Troy, I want you to know I'm disconnecting with you on LinkedIn. I'm unsubscribing to your newsletter. And quite frankly, I'm not going to have anything to do with you anymore because you are going down this AI direction. They said, I don't believe in it. I think it, one person even referred to it as evil. And they said, I think it's something that is really destructive. And I think you being part of this makes you destructive. So, wow, that not something I expected at all, but hey, everybody goes down their own directions. I wish them well. But there's a lot of misconceptions about AI. There are people out there that truly believe that AI is going to take over the world and enslave us. And I was having a conversation with some of my friends as we were sitting around watching TV a few weeks ago. We're just sitting around watching TV, and the topic came up of AI, and somebody said, and they may have been half joking, but I don't think they really were. They said, well, our future is limited because AI is going to take over and enslave all of us. And I said, no, it won't. They said, how do you know that? I got up, walked over, unplugged the TV. I turned around and said, any questions? Everybody just kind of laughed. And they said, okay, your point is taken. Now, they were a little irritated because it took about 5 minutes for the Roku to boot back up. But hey, that's another story. Probably needed it anyway. The point is that this is a topic that really affects people in a very personal and visceral way. And what Chase and I want to do is explain to you AI is not going to take over the world. AI is not going to replace salespeople. Your job is not at threat because of AI, but what you're doing is you are gaining a tool in the toolbox. And Chase, could you kind of explain in layman's terms a little bit of the technology behind AI and what it actually does?
Yeah, absolutely. So at its core fundamentals, all AI is just math. Like at its root, that's the biggest thing that it is. As the name implies, artificial intelligence. It's really about taking things that have traditionally required a human's intelligence in order to be able to do, and made that able to be something that can be done via an automated methodology with a computer. But that said, these newer classes of systems like ChatGPT and others, the way that they work is you have to give them some input and then they give you some output. And so they don't just do things, right? Like, so there always has to be this input and output. So you say something, it says something. You give it a instruction, it does something. And that kind of in a nutshell is all AI is. It's a probabilistic way of figuring out how you get from point A to point B. I've got some inputs and I want some outputs. That's really all it is. But what that allows for, and with this giant wealth of data that's been harvested over the last 20, 30, 40 years, it has enabled working with technology in a new way, in a way that we've never really been able to before. And we'll be talking about that a little later in this.
Okay, well, that's good. That's a nice background. And one of the things that's happened recently, and AI has been around for a long time, and I'll tell you how I know this. I have been working my way through watching the original Magnum PI series, the Tom Selleck series. And I swear this is true. 2 nights ago, I was sitting on my couch watching an episode of Magnum PI from about 85, 86. And the plot line was this guy that had developed coding for artificial intelligence, and like there are a whole bunch of people after him because they wanted to use it for nefarious purposes. And that's a 40-year-old TV show. So the idea of artificial intelligence is not new. What's new is the accessibility of it and the availability of that AI technology to people like you and me. And that means that it can do things for us. It can be a tool for us. One of my favorite ways to describe AI, and I'm pirating this from you, Chase. You said AI is the best intern you ever had. It's got a higher IQ than you. It's got 20 PhDs, but it has absolutely no street smarts. You're the one who has to tell it what to do. So again, think of AI as a tool, and it is a garbage in, garbage out tool. The better inputs you give, the better the outputs it has. So what can AI do for sales teams? Number one, with a bullet, is it is a time saver. I've said for many years, the most valuable time any salesperson can spend is that time that they are face to face with customers, either hopefully live and in person or on a video screen like this. The more face time you get, that's your highest use of time. So the more face time you can get, either because you've gotten better at getting that face time or you've got more time available for face time, the better off you're going to be, the more productive you're going to be. You know, the basic equation of sales achievement is this: quality of activity multiplied by quantity of activity equals results. AI can help you on both of those. It can help you with the quantity of activity by freeing up time, and I'm going to show you momentarily how it can help with the quality of the activity. Number two, there's a lot of things that we do in sales that are repetitive. Those can be automated by AI tools running in the background while we're doing other things. So it can streamline those tasks, again, freeing up time. It can help you message better. In today's sales world, your messaging is utterly critical to your ability to get face time with buyers who have the world of research at their fingertips, and we have to justify our ability to get in front of them. AI can help you do that. And finally, and this is a really cool application, it can even help the quality of those sales calls by helping you do some pre-call prep. We're going to give you a little demonstration or explain to you how all of these things can happen while you're on this webinar. So the first thing, it can improve your messaging quality. You know, 30 years ago when I was in the industrial sales business, I could literally walk into somebody's building, ask them what they did there, and then just say, well, I'd like to talk to you about your bearings and power transmission products, and they give me a half an hour. It's not that way anymore. The reason they did it back then was because I was the main conduit of information about stuff that they needed to run their plant. Nowadays, they got the whole internet at their fingertips, so we have to justify, we have to earn our spot in front of these buyers. Our messaging, the level of persuasiveness that we can bring to the table is absolutely critical to this. You know, more customers are communicating electronically, text, uh, messaging apps, even like WhatsApp and Snapchat, LinkedIn messages, email. There's more of the written digital communication happening now than ever before, and we've got to be good at that. And for some salespeople who have excelled in the spoken word, and maybe not in as concise a fashion as we could, nowadays, AI applications like ChatGPT can help you create messaging that is concise, that is on brand, and that is relevant. I'm going to show you a little example of this right now. And I will tell you that I have preset these demos just a little bit, and I'll show you what I mean by that. All right. So we are,
as they say on the cooking shows, a little movie magic.
yeah, there you go. I like that. All right. Matter of fact, I'm going to switch windows to this window over here. I've actually got two of them prepped. There's another demo coming a little bit. But I decided to create a hypothetical scenario to create an email. And here it is. Hello, I'm a sales coach and I'm trying to help my client write an email. By the way, these are fake uh, clients and customers. I'm not outing anybody here. My client is a commercial food supplier called Acme Food Service. The potential customer is Falls City Sports Bar in Falls City, Nebraska. Falls City is a real place. The sports bar is not unless they've added it. They used to be a good customer, but they went to another vendor 2 years ago because my client was having service problems, including incomplete deliveries. The delivery driver wasn't on time and they couldn't get quick response to problems. Those problems have been corrected now. My client wants to persuade them to give us another shot at the business. Can you write me a persuasive email of about 200 words or less? By the way, I found that when you're doing a prompt, it's critical to tell ChatGPT how long you want the response to be. Okay, so here it is. We hope this email finds you well as your dedicated food service partner, Acme Food Service. I can't even read it verbally as fast as it can generate. Now, here is what works well in this. ChatGPT delivers what I consider to be 80% content. That means the content of this is about 80% of the way to where you want it to be. The rest of it comes from you and from you editing over the top of this, make it better, fine tune it. But this isn't bad. I mean, if you look at it, um, we hope this email finds you well as your dedicated food service partner, blah, blah, blah. We recognize there are issues in the past. We sincerely apologize for any inconvenience they caused. However, we're thrilled to inform you that we've made significant improvements to our operations. I'm not going to read the whole thing because that's not the point of this. What the point of this is ask yourself how long it would have taken you to generate an email of similar quality, and then look at how long it took to do this. And all you can do if you want to use something like this, just copy and paste it into a Word document. I'm going to show you another quick tip here. First of all, I'm going to paste it. Whoop, we got the dreaded gray box. See the gray background, the gray box? You cannot get that. Here's a great way to not get that. Paste it without formatting. See?
Oh, you're not showing Word
Oh,
if
I'm
you're
not, am I?
no.
Okay. I just second here. I am going to show you my Word there.
Still not showing Word. Oh, there it is.
Is it now? Okay. See, so what you do is you put it into a Word document, paste it without the formatting so you don't get a gray background. Then you can edit from there. And here are a couple of more things. And again, this is not perfect. I don't intend for this to be perfect, but what this is something that you can polish up and send out to a potential client or to an actual client, and it's a time saver. It can help you create on mess, and the better you tune your prompts, the more you tell ChatGPT about who you are and what you are, the tighter this can get. Now, here's another thing that you can do. I have had a lot of people complain to me at conferences. They say, Troy, these younger buyers, all they want to do is text. And, my, and the question they're actually asking is, Troy, how can I retrain my customers so that they'll communicate the way I want to communicate? You can't. All you can do is meet people where they are. So, here's something else we can do. And I'm gonna, if you're having trouble creating a persuasive sales text, here's a great thing to do. I'm gonna go, thanks, that wasn't bad. The target customer actually likes to text. And yeah, Larry, you're right. A refining prompt helps the first step of refinement very quickly. By the way, I'd like to have you put a yes in the chat box if you have even logged on and started messing with ChatGPT a little bit. Let's start seeing where people are at. So can you write me a text of about, let's say 35 words or less to persuade them to see us? Okay, that's not bad. The point is, and I'm seeing a lot of people saying yes, 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 like an intern, use a lot. That's great. This is a good technology to be using. The point of this is, and I'm obviously not taking a deep dive because we have limited time on this program, but what you can do with this is you can use it to improve your message. And I'm a good writer. I enjoy writing, and even I use it sometimes. Matter of fact, I'll tell you one thing I use it a lot for. I write really good articles. I write really good speeches. The shame in my game is this: I am terrible at titles. I can write the greatest speech or the greatest article in the world, and then I look at my title and I go, good God, where'd my creativity go? So what I have done more than once is I've actually taken an entire article, pasted it into ChatGPT and said, give me 5 articles of titles for this. I got to be honest, every one it comes up with is better than what I've come up with. And sometimes I'll mix and match. Sometimes I'll have it regenerate a response. I'll take a little bit from the first response, a little from the second response. I'll edit it. There's a lot that you can do with this technology. But again, it improves your messaging quality, and in doing so, it saves time. Even if it saves you 5 minutes, that's 5 minutes that you might be able to make a prospecting call, do some LinkedIn outreach. all of it increases your effectiveness as a salesperson, and that's vital. The second thing it can do is streamline repetitive tasks. And Chase, I'm going to hand this one off to you because you've got a lot of expertise on this.
Yeah, and so what's really cool about these tools is that you're not actually limited to just ChatGPT and what its functionality is there. There's a whole wealth of these types of large language models, as they're called in this business. I've got one demo I'm going to show you, which is a research assistant. So the setup is, imagine you're a B2B organization, and you know that going into any call, the more you can know about your client, the better. But that takes time. The best sales organizations in the world will often staff assistants that solely do this type of research so that their sales organization is more prepared whenever they go in. And maybe that is doing things like figuring out what year-over-year trends look like. Maybe that's, all sorts of, trying to gather as much about org structure, you name it. This has been a difficult problem to do in an automated way historically, because the way that the web is put together is through what's called HTML. That is what is behind the scenes of every web page that you look at. And every web page is vastly different in how somebody like I, as a programmer, would think about it. So if you've got something like an Amazon that has a very clear pattern of things, where if you were trying to like go get a bunch of items, that, because there's a pattern, you could try and go get stuff from. But if you're trying to go through 1, 5, 10, 20 sites, you would have to figure out what that pattern is for each site to go harvest data from it. And so with this new class of AI systems, they can actually take a look at that data and understand your intention along with it, and be able to find the meaningful pieces of information in that website that are relevant to what you need to know, and pull it out of it. And that's an incredible thing that we can do now. So I'm going to show just a very brief demo. I'm going to share my screen.
Oops, I need to stop my share. There you go.
Awesome. Is that popped up?
Yes,
Excellent.
we got you.
So this is just a simple research assistant. And actually, I'm going to change this to my whole screen, because I'm going to switch over to the background here in a second. So I'm going to say, who is Troy Harrison, and what kind of customers does he work with? And then we're going to start doing research. Now, this is going to kick off in the background, and we're going to look a little bit behind the scenes to see what it's doing, because this is actually searching the web. This is actually opening up real browsers in the background. It's pulling information from those individual websites, and it's trying to analyze what that does. So if you've ever worked with ChatGPT, you may notice down whenever you ask questions, it may say something like, I don't have any information on this. This information was before 2021, which was when I was trained. So it's got a lot of info in its head. But all of that information is old. Well, it's 2 years old. But in this way, we've been able to do two things. One, present it information from the world around it, let it use a tool. So I'm not telling it specifically how to use the browser. I've just given it access to a browser. And then most importantly, too, we've got actual references. So if I need to verify that data as a part of a QA process, I can click on that, and that's going to go right to where it pulled its information. And if we go back, Troy Harrison is a world-renowned sales speaker, trainer, consultant, and coach. He's known as a sales navigator and has extensive experience in sales management and training. Troy Harrison offers various services such as sales coaching, sales training, and sales speaking engagements. He provides programs that are designed to help sales professionals sell more, build stronger customer relationships, achieve higher profits, et cetera, et cetera. So it's given me a rundown of who Troy is, but I didn't have to explicitly tell it where Troy's website was, who Troy is, any of that kind of stuff. And this is kind of where the power in this lies. If you want to go ahead and share your screen again.
Yeah, you bet. Oops. Here we go. There.
So I was going to try to give another demo, but I just didn't have time to get it to where I would like to have it for this. But the idea was a pre-sales kiosk. So imagine that you have an automotive group. Having sales reps collect good pre-sales information from a client is hard. A lot of sales reps are hesitant to ask the necessary questions in order to make a good sale. Consumers, more often than not, are willing to give more information to a computer than they are a person because they trust people a lot less. And so with a kiosk, you can have something like, hi, welcome to XYZ car lot. What's your name? Oh, I'm Chase. Hi, Chase. What are you looking for today? I'm looking for a minivan. Great. What's important to you in having a minivan? Oh, well, I'm looking for something kind of durable, not too expensive, blah, 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 right? And with all of that information that it gathers, it can then take that, summarize it, expand upon it, tell you about who your customer is, what their motivations are, why they would want to buy, as well as be able to integrate with your CRM or other types of utilities in your organization, and dump that data directly into it. Or if perhaps you want to be able to do pre-credit screening, those types of things, all of those external tools can be hooked up as a part of that process. And again, we've not really been able to do that. We've been able to do very scripted activities. So if you think of Alexa is incredibly scripted. It feels AI-ish, but it's just really just runs down a script. And the way that you program Alexa is much different because you do have to be very explicit about every zig or every zag in the conversation. But with these new class of large language models, it can kind of create its own path on how to achieve the goal of getting information from the person in novel ways that we've not really been able to do before. And that's just two examples out of thousands on ways to be able to streamline and automate various parts of the sales process.
Well, and what's really interesting about that to me is what you brought up is that a lot of the past models have been very scripted. I mean, it's basically like this big flow chart or conversation tree. We've all seen the decision tree. Is it blowing up? Yes or no? If yes, put a fire extinguisher on it. And this really does add a new dimension to some of the things that we can do in terms of interacting with our customers. And again, just like look at that research assistant, that's something that can be running in the background while we are doing other things, while we're focusing on that higher value of time of being with our customers, talking to our customers. So thanks for that, Chase.
Absolutely.
Now, here's something really cool. AI can actually help you prepare for sales calls. And by the way, the demos that I'm doing are on ChatGPT just because it's simple, it's free, and it is pretty effective. There are other tools out there that I'm learning right now because, and I said this on my last webinar, it could be that ChatGPT ends up being the Sony Betamax of the AI industry, the thing that comes out and a lot of people jump into quick, and then they end up on VHS or a different technology for different reasons. So we don't know right now where ChatGPT is going to be. What we know is that at this very moment, It is probably the most accessible AI technology. And like Chase said, the data set for AI ended in November 2021. If you were to add, or I mean for ChatGPT, if you were to ask ChatGPT to tell you about the 2020 World Series, it could do that all over the place. But if you asked it to tell you about the 2022 World Series, it would say, I don't have that information. So I'm going to give you a demonstration on this momentarily, but AI can help you make the most of that customer face time. Our customer face time with our customers is shrinking nowadays. What I mean by that is this. Remember I said I used to be able to show up, say, I'd like to talk about your bearings and power transmission products, get a good 30 minutes in front of the customer. Now let's take that to a next level. A lot of that 30 minutes could have been fluff. I could have been talking about, football or getting to know their son's track team or any of that kind of stuff. People don't have time for that anymore. They expect value per minute of time that they spend with salespeople. ChatGPT AI can help you do that. It can help you come up with questions to ask. It can even help you role play in advance. I'm going to show you how. And again, this is one of those moments where through the magic, I have created a demo prompt ahead of time. And we're going to switch back over here to ChatGPT, except we're going to switch windows now. And I apologize. For some reason, here we go. All right, let's go to this. Let's go to this one. Hello, I'm preparing to do a sales call and I'm like your help in suggesting some questions. I'm Troy Harrison, the Sales Navigator. I'm a sales coach, consultant, and trainer. I'm calling of John Smith of ABC Industrial Supply Company. They're a company that sells bearing and power transmission components for maintaining industrial plants. They have 10 salespeople. I think they might be struggling with gaining new customers. A little more background I'm giving there. John will be my ultimate decision maker. He's the grandson of the founder. And here's another prompt I'm giving it. I like a behavioral interviewing style of question where I ask prospects to tell me stories about past events that might uncover needs for training and or consulting. Can you suggest 10 questions?
That's networking.
What? I heard somebody say something. Shani, can you see my screen?
Yes.
You can see the screen share there?
Yes.
Okay, so you are seeing the demo.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Can you suggest 10 questions that I could use on this sales call? Here's what that looks like. And again, I've never used this prompt before, so I don't know what's going to happen. Can you recall a situation where your sales team, well, it's moving pretty fast. Okay, here's one. Can you share a recent situation where your sales team had to navigate a complex decision-making process within a customer's organization? How did they manage the various stakeholders and secure the deal? You get the idea. There are 10 pretty strong questions there. And again, some of these questions are pretty wordy. You might want to condense them, but the idea is this is a way to help you prepare for a sales call. Tell me about a time when your sales team faced a particularly challenging sales situation. How did they handle it and what was the outcome? That's pretty basic. Can you share a recent success story? I'm going to copy and paste that. I'm going to tell you why. One thing that ChatGPT can also do, it can actually help you role play a sales call. So I'm going to say that was good. Can you role play this sales call with me? I will be myself and you will be John Smith. I'll ask you some of these questions. And I always like to set it up, goes, okay, of course, let's begin whenever you're ready. Great. Here's the first question. Share a recent success story your sales team had. And here we go. Now, one thing, by the way, is that it's going to give very complete answers, maybe more complete than an actual customer will give you. But role playing, in my way of thinking, is one of the best ways of performing sales training or of training yourself to be successful in sales. So if you are if you want to pre-role play, and by the way, the more information you give it about your potential contact, the more on target these are going to be. I mean, if you already know the particulars and the players, put those into your prompt, and you're going to. Now, will you get exactly what you're going to get when you talk to the customer? Not necessarily, but this is great practice, and it's great in doing drill downs. For instance, Emily's strategy involved thorough research into the customer's operations and identifying the pain point. What was the pain point that Emily discovered? I'm curious about what it's going to say. Delays in receiving critical components. Okay, that's probably a pretty likely pain point in that industry. So I told it what I wanted, and here we go. My point is this: it is more and more critical that we use whatever tools that we can to become more effective in front of our customers. And to me, this is another tool in the toolbox, and is a tool that is worth having. But this is something, if we wanted to role play for sales calls, we'd have to grab another salesperson or a manager, give them the situation, sit down and have them take an hour of their time out. We don't have to do that anymore. You've got your virtual assistant to do this. And again, the better you are at giving prompts, the better your results are going to be. It like any other computer, it's garbage in, it's garbage out. Speaking of garbage in, garbage out, one of the other things that ChatGPT can do, I know from my conversations with Chase, is it can take your customer analysis to the next level. Chase, would you mind explaining that?
Well, and that's not so much ChatGPT that can do that. That's more
Yeah. I apologize. You're right. AI.
AI in general. Yeah, AI and machine learning. So, so what is customer analysis? If you've been building lead lists and been working with customers for any length of time, generally you want to have been doing it for at least a year, but especially for organizations that have been doing it for 5, 10, 20 years, you have such an incredible wealth of data about who your customer is, why they buy, how they buy, etc. But really being able to drill down into those questions is quite difficult historically. But what's nice with a lot of the newer classes of AI is you can begin to uncover new learnings about those customers. So as an example, let's say you've got 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 customers in your CRM database. Using automation and things like that research assistant, we can go find out yet even more information about those customers. We can then begin to try and classify them. And then from that, we can begin to say, okay, we've got 10, 20, 50 points of data, whatever that winds up being for your individual use case. From that, we can then begin to use more classical machine learning and AI to say, okay, find me my ideal customer profile. I want to understand their motivations. I want to understand their goals, their aspirations, and their pain points. Why is our customer buying? And from that, you then are able to have way more focused messaging, branding, and marketing around how you go source those customers. Because if you know this customer profile has the highest likelihood of buying, then rather than take a industry-wide shotgun approach to how you handle your marketing, you can take a precision scalpel approach where you can take that dollar that you normally spend across 10 customers and condense it into one customer. You're still spending the same amount, but the likelihood of success goes way through the roof. So you're getting double, triple, quadruple, or more value for each dollar spent. And all of that ultimately leads to higher profitability in your organization overall. So customer analysis is a huge part of what is available to be done that, frankly, most companies are just kind of asleep on. They aren't taking advantage. We've collected this data for years and years and years, and we just really aren't taking advantage of it.
Well, that's a great point, Chase. And I want to come behind it with another point. And I'm loving all the interaction on the chat window, by the way. And I want to ask everyone a question. On a scale of 1 to 10, and this is probably for the managers and owners, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being worst, 10 being the best, how good and accurate do you think the data in your CRM is right now? Because this is something I've been hammering on for years. 3, and that's
0.
0. Okay. Here's the 5. Okay, here's the problem, guys. If your data is crap, this isn't going to do you any good. If your salespeople and your customer service people, any customer facing personnel, are not updating and getting data into your CRM system, this isn't going to help you. What is there is about a 6. We still have gaps in collection. Yeah, exactly. In other words, the best case scenario is we've got some data that's about a 6, but we also have a lot more that's 0. That's pretty common. Aaron's got a 7. Good job. That's not bad. I have a 15-minute video on my YouTube channel that shows an easy way to get salespeople, even those more seasoned salespeople who aren't necessarily as tech savvy, to use CRM and to get data in there. And I'm going to have a follow-up email to everybody after this. I will include the link to that video because this is critical. Everything Chase just talked about, and what Chase talked about can make you a lot of money. However, if you don't have that data, it can't make you money. And
That's right.
Larry said CRM is overrated. Respectfully disagree with you. I think and maybe he was being sarcastic based on the emoji. Going as we go forward, your level of data in your system will become more and more and more critical. And David, whoever is getting the data into your system, you have no salespeople, just your partners, and whoever is facing that customer needs to be getting that data into your system, because if you do not, you're going to struggle with this. So the point is, there's a lot of things that AI can do for you, but a lot of it depends on your ability to prompt it and your ability to get data in. Question, Shaney, I know we've had a pretty active chat window. Have there been some questions that have popped up?
Yes, some very good questions, actually. Eugene asked, what research tool is this that Chase was using in the demo?
Yeah, so the demo that I showed, that was a custom built application just for this presentation, just to kind of give a highlight of how the AI can be used, or how some of these AIs can be used outside of just ChatGPT. So, and the big takeaway on that really should be, in that particular case, I was using browsers, but you're not limited to browsers. These types of systems can be hooked up to any type of other system, whether that's your CRM, whether that's your help desk, whether that's your knowledge base, et cetera, your invoicing pipeline, you name it, to give you better understanding and better help in through your processes.
A connected question to what you just addressed is from Larry, and he had asked, is AI research agent a specific site or class of site? But I believe you described it as a specific application you had developed.
That's right.
And then we have, it looks like it's Katie said, we're all pretty much familiar with ChatGPT. As Chase had shown, AI research agent / customer pre-sales kiosk. Can you suggest other apps and extensions relevant for sales and marketing?
Case, what do you have on that? Go ahead.
So there's a handful. I think right now the biggest one is just like ChatGPT in a lot of the cases that Troy is talking about. I think the important thing to recognize is that while sales as a whole is there are some fundamentals that are repeatable and important. Your sales organization and the way that you do things and what is important about your customers and the way that they do business and what your product is, et cetera, and how your business processes work are going to be so varied There's not really going to be a one size fits all for that. So that's really where you get into like custom application development.
Well, and I want to jump in behind that, Chase, because I had somebody say to me last week, well, AI is going to take a lot of the skill out of the sales professional, a lot of the needed skill. I think that's utter nonsense. What this is it demands a new skill and a new skill set. And one of the things that we saw is that, even my rudimentary prompts, I could have refined those and made it better. Using AI or ChatGPT, whether you're talking about a custom program like what Chase does, or an easily available program like ChatGPT, or some of the other ones that are out there is a lot of skill in creating prompts and manipulating the app to give you what you want. And then there's skill over the top of that to tailor that message for your objective and for your customers. The other thing that happens, I think, is that this is all part of what I think of as the increasing need for higher skill sets in sales in terms of the way that we communicate with our customers. Sales is all about communicating with our customers. And the more technology that gets used, believe it or not, the higher demand there is for our own skill in communicating with our customers. It's not like
Well,
the old days when you could buy people a beer and talk football for 30 minutes and get a lot of business out of it.
and
You
I
have
think
to get better at selling and at the interpersonal communication aspect.
I think, yeah, I've seen a lot of anecdotal evidence in the field that people are starting to get wise to a lot of the heavy-handed AI messaging that folks are
Oh yeah.
doing, where they're not taking any level of nuanced approach to how they take their own intelligence and integrate it with the artificial intelligence to work in a partnership scenario. They're just trying to delegate all of it over to the AI, and so that messaging tends to have some patterns to it that people are starting to pick up on and just blow off immediately. So it's kind of interesting to see how people are adjusting to the expansion and use of AI.
I agree with that. And you know what? One of the things that I had happened to me a few weeks ago is I wrote an article, and somebody who knows me well actually called me and said, "Hey, love the article." I said, "Thanks." And they said, "Part of that was written with ChatGPT, wasn't it?" I said, "Yeah." "Could you tell which part?" They sat there silently. "No, not really. I just figured that since you're using it, part of it was." Yeah. And full disclosure, some of my content now comes from ChatGPT, but it is refined, it is edited, it is polished, and it's interspersed with my own wording. And because of that, the final product is mine. And now, if you can sit there and you can say to ChatGPT, write me 30 LinkedIn posts on X, and it's going to write you 30 LinkedIn posts on X, and it's going to be very obvious that they were all AI written. I don't recommend you take that approach. Again, use your own intellect, use your own voice to become part of this. Shani, what else do we have?
We have another question from Eugene, and he asks thoughts on the $20 upgrade on ChatGPT.
My own instinct is that it's probably worth it simply because it makes ChatGPT dynamic, but I'll toss that to Chase and see what you think.
I think for a lot of the use cases that we've talked about today, I don't know that it's necessary. It kind of goes back to what I was saying as far as like if what you're really trying to do is harness your own processes, etc. It's not really going to give you any additional direction towards that. So it just depends. Now, that said, if you are working with large contracts and you're working with larger documents and things like that, where you are trying to get a better understanding, or you're trying to make vendor agreements or some of those types of things that require a lot of text, it may be a value to you. That would be kind of my one caveat on that, because with the GPT-4, it can coherently deal with much larger bodies of text than 3.5 can.
Okay.
And Kelly had actually agreed with that statement that so far that had not seen the need to upgrade. And then the last question I have is from Katie. And speaking of YouTubes, do you suggest any YouTube channels, forums, etc., to keep up with AI sales and marketing and all that it can be utilized for?
Katie, my first answer is that there's going to be a lot more on YouTube about AI on my own channel within the coming months, because I mean, again, I am learning about it, and I'm going to take people along on that ride with me. I have not seen any particular channel that has really distinguished itself yet as being the voice, so to speak. And yeah, full disclosure, I'd like to be the voice. Right now, I think just kind of look around, see who's out there, see who's saying things, and see how much you agree with it.
It looks like we've got another question from Larry. And so he says, so am I understanding you correctly? There's no publicly available AI application to do the quote unquote research. A custom solution is the only answer.
As far as I know, yes. Again, this demo that I set up was tailored to this demo, so that was just all custom code.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone for the participation. I've got a few. I want to kind of. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm talking over somebody. Okay. I want to kind of give everybody a roadmap for implementation on this. Hang on for a few minutes. We're not quite done yet. Uh, what we've offered you today, I hope, has been very helpful. And both Chase and I have ways to offer you help going forward. I have a program that I call a sales strategy review. It is a 1 hour conversation with me, approximately 1 hour, in which we'll go over your sales team, your processes, your goals, your target customers. And nowadays, we're going over your tech stack and your tools. And what we're doing is I am giving you advice and recommendations on how to align the resources available to you, your processes, your people, your tools with what your goals are and help you get from point A to point B. In this, my promise to you is that I will give you at least 2 to 3 key recommendations that you can take to make money, even if we never do business together. This isn't a 1 hour sales call for me. It is designed for owners and managers of business who want to build their sales and who need a little bit of outside advice. And I hope as many of you online take me up on that as possible. I love doing these. I love working with people. If there's an opportunity for us to work together further, I'll tell you, but that'll probably be a separate conversation. So if you would like a sales strategy review, just put Troy in the chat box and Shaney will be getting a hold of you to arrange that. And again, yep, Lyle. So yes, put Troy in the chat box if you want a sales strategy review, and I will be happy to get a hold of you. We will schedule one. I'll give you whatever help I can. And I know Chase has a similar offering as well. Chase, you want to go over your call?
Yeah, so I have an AI ignition call. So this is a complimentary consultation where I work with your business, and this is not necessarily sales focused. This is more at the business as a whole. But I help you identify AI opportunities that may be helpful to get your business processes, et cetera, streamlined. We're going to do a AI readiness assessment, and then I'm going to be there to answer your AI questions about what can and can't be done, et cetera. Troy, is it all right if I just drop my calendar link in the chat?
Yeah, go ahead, Chase.
All right.
Yeah, you can click on that, or you can put Chase in there. And by the way, if you'd like to talk to both of us, put both in the chat window as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Any way we can arrange that. Before I kind of give you your final takeaways on this, I just want to tell you this. My next webinar will be on Thursday, September 7th at this time at 11 a.m. Central, kind of like this time. I think it works well for both coasts. And it will be called From Hippies to Hipsters, How You Can Master Intergenerational Selling. Again, that's one of those big 4 trends. How do we sell to younger buyers? But it works the same on both ends. Younger buyers and younger people selling to older buyers. So I will be sending out the link to that in the follow-up email. You want to make sure you're on that one. And finally, How do we build an AI strategy for your business? Number one, designate, and again, I'm focusing on sales here, but of course, Chase can take you well beyond that. Number one, designate your people. Identify who will be employing AI in the sales process. And I got to be honest, if I was still managing a sales team, I'd train every member of my sales team to do this, all my salespeople, because I would want them to have this skill in their back pocket. Number two, train them. Those people should be trained not only in AI, but in the proper sales methodology and how to harmonize those two things, how to make the sales aspect and the AI work together. You may need to train them up on sales dialogue as well. Number three, track the results. Keep track of your key metrics, appointment set, closing ratios, proposals, new leads, and how that interplays with AI. In other words, if you have AI-driven messaging that is going out, track how many appointments you're getting set with that. Compare that to non-AI message. Do some A and B testing. And then finally, improve and refine. Work to refine your skills, improve your knowledge, and stay on pace with the emerging technology. All right. I want to thank everyone for being on here. Chase, thank you so much for being part of this.
And
It's
thank you
been
so much for
incredibly
having me.
helpful. Hope it's been helpful to you. And again, anybody would like a sales strategy review, put that in the chat box. If you would like an AI ignition call, put that in the chat box or click Chase's link. Shani will be getting back with everybody. Shani, thank you for hosting, and we will see you next time. If you are an owner or manager of a company, scan the QR code for your free sales strategy review.